What up, y'all? In the previous study, we discussed Tawanchai's holes as it relates to his vulnerabilities from midline to highline offense. We go into quite a bit of detail on that. If you guys haven't checked that out, highly suggest you do. But today, we're going to be jumping around a little bit more. We're going to be talking about some of the holes in his left kick game, his teep game, two of the most prominent tools in his game, by the way, and he really doesn't have answers when high-level guys are able to counter it. And we're going to jump into a lot more before we do. If you guys are watching this anywhere but the Patreon, you guys can peep the full version on the Patreon, which is available to paid members. Or if you guys are just looking for the free version, but you're watching on YouTube, you guys can peep the unblurred version on there. It's going to be in the link in the description below. Let's go ahead and jump in. So let's talk about Tawanchai's left kick. But before we do, let's just look at David Kyria right here. Tawanchai is going to teep feint. Kyria is going to take a step back, and Tawanchai resets his stance. Now look at this right here. This is important. Kyria is moving forward, and we see a naked left kick. Kyria here is going to brace. Now, let's also give context. Eventually, this left kick wound up breaking Kyria down, literally breaking, I believe, his arm, his elbow or forearm or something like that. So you got to give props to Tawanchai. Super hard left kick. However, look at this right here. No setup on the left kick means Kyria is able to simply brace and then follow his right hand to Tawanchai's face, and Tawanchai is going to get clipped. And then from here, Kyria tries to set up some more work. So let's check this out one more time from Tawanchai's perspective. So my big criticism of Tawanchai's left kick is there's very little setup, and he's not the most, how do I say this? He just throws the left kick regardless of where his feet are. And we'll get into that a little bit later on. But from here, so we see this big teep feint setup, but David is not pre-fetal. He still has good eyes, and he's going to continue stalking forward. And now from here, as he continues stalking forward, look at this. He's already... Look at the feet positioning. Look at the shoulders are turning back. He's already just going to launch a naked left kick. When he launches a naked left kick, this is so high commitment of a movement. From here, it's very easy to see. The kick is on the outside track. David's arm is on the inside track. And from bracing, he can just follow the inside track all the way back to Tawanchai's face. So, guys, even as something as simple of getting your jab going more, to get them using their hands to defend, pulling their head out of the way, there's so much that you, and again, we don't have to go into this because presumably everyone here watching knows that there's much more ways to set up a left kick than just a jab, but we don't tend to see much of a setup at all. And again, this is what lends me to my case that Tawanchai relies on just being a very, very physically gifted athlete with a lot of power, a lot of speed. But I'd argue that the complexity of the game is not necessarily there. Let's go ahead and check out some other examples. I'm bugging y'all. Before we check out another example, there was one thing I wanted to talk about on this right here. So let's check out the left kick. At the moment the left kick launches, let's pay attention to both Tawanchai and David's lead feet. Okay, so let's check this out. Okay, right here. Now, obviously, we don't have the best angle of David's lead foot because the camera cuts it off, but we can guesstimate that his foot is around here, and Tawanchai's lead foot is around here. So if I had to take a guess, I would say Tawanchai's lead foot is just a little bit inside of David's lead foot. At worst case scenario, they're dead even. I really don't think it is from this angle. You guys can comment and let me know if you feel differently. Now, when you are throwing a kick at this angle with your left foot, which is either at best in front of them or even sometimes the left foot is on the inside, the right foot is on the inside track, you are that much more vulnerable to their rear side or right side in David's case, offense. Now, given that you're that vulnerable, This is probably not, and by the way, here, look at this right here. So David just had to take a super small step, and now we can see with the foot positioning, this is a really poor choice for offense because you have now lined up David's rear side shoulder to get clipped. And we'll look at some other examples that he doesn't really pay too much attention to where his lead foot is. And as a southpaw, you have to be very mindful of that. Now, look, I'm not saying, and those of you guys who followed me for a while know that I talk about this often. I'm not saying your lead foot always has to be on the outside. That is incorrect. That's something that's dogmatic that people just repeat over and over and over again, and now it's just become gospel. Your lead foot does not always have to be on the outside. But in situations like this, given the context, yeah, your lead foot needs to be on the outside in order to stay away from their counter shot. But Tawanchai doesn't mind his P's and Q's, and he gets clipped for it. So here is a better case scenario from Tawanchai, but again, we still see the same things. There's no setup for this left kick. The kick is going to land underneath Superban's guard, but Superban still throws that right straight. Now again, like I said, this was the better case scenario. I believe it looks like Tawanchai is still able to get that high guard up, defend. It doesn't land super clean, but this is something that's really important. When you can avoid a dogfight like this, it's always better to take that route. But we see that there's still not much setup. And then now let's go ahead and play this one more time. And I want you to be very mindful of Tawanchai's and Superban's foot positioning. Guys, we're running up on time, but I still have a little bit more work to show Tawanchai's discrepancies in his game. So I will be saving that for the next installment. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and throw them down in the comment section below. If you guys are watching the free version, you guys can peep the full version by signing up for the Patreon, patreon.com/boringbreakdowns. Help me feed my kids, y'all. This is the best way to support. We have tons of other long-form work on Yuki Yoza, Masaaki Noiri, have work on MMA guys like Fyodor Emelianenko. I think that one is criminally underrated, me personally. It goes into the OG grip fighting game in MMA, something that you don't necessarily see as much anymore. And I think Fyodor was one of the guys that made that that big change. So you guys go ahead and check all that out. You guys can get access to that again by checking out the Patreon, patreon.com/boringbreakdowns. But if not, all good. Liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, and also criminally underrated is telling the homies at the gym about this work. My advertising is just word of mouth, so you guys are a huge help with that. Thank you guys so much for supporting, and I will catch up with y'all on the next one. Peace.